Hello, Libra, and welcome to Indigo Rising Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you're having a great day. This will be your weekly reading for the week of February 1st through the 7th. And during that time, we have a full moon that comes in on the 2nd. And of course, that's a time of heightened emotions. You might feel overwhelmed and anxious, maybe a little snappy and irritable. You may have some changes in your sleeping patterns, but it's set up as a good time for us to release any resentment or fears that we might be having and for us to practice patience and calm. So each month, you get this awareness to practice patience and calm, to make that a bigger part of your life. So we then move into the waning gibbous energy for the rest of the week. And that is a good time for self-reflection and rebirth, a good time to make positive changes and get rid of bad habits and negative thinkings so that we can work towards achieving our goals and aspirations. So please keep those moon energies in mind as we move through the week. This will be an intuitive general reading for the energies that you may or may not encounter. So as always, please take what resonates and leave what doesn't on the table for someone else. And your overall message for this reading, Libra, have faith in your dreams. That's a wonderful message. So let's see what is going on that you need to have faith in. You know, having faith in your dreams, I really believe brings them to fruition. So sometimes you just got to believe, right? All right. As I'm shuffling the tarot, my fun weekly reminder is that you try really hard to get out into nature this week. So try to take a walk or find a park or someplace with a really beautiful view, and just try to connect with the miracle of nature. It's good for us to do that every once in a while. I know if you are like me, we just got buried in snow last week and it hasn't melted. I don't think it's going anywhere, but I do envision that I might get out on that full moon night and get out and see what all that beautiful sparkly snow looks like under a full moon. So, but find a way. And if you're in a warm climate, we're all a little jealous of you. So please enjoy it for the rest of us if we're all freezing here in the Midwest and the North. All right, let's get into this reading. Libra, February 1st through the 7th. Have faith in your dreams. All right. Your present situation, Page of Wands. Wow. Okay. So that card flipped around for you today. And Page of Wands is definitely about having dreams, cultivating those dreams, and really believing. It's about something that you feel really passionate about. And it could be something that you've newly discovered here that might be indicated with this Page of Wands. And it's, excuse me, a newly discovered dream, something that you maybe have not put a lot of thought into, but something has sparked your interest in something, or just kind of, sent you in that direction. And you're really cultivating what's on this wand right here, that you're cultivating those seeds and thinking, yeah, I can do this. I love, and then I'm looking here. I really need to learn what this, oh, that's a feather on his cap there. Yeah. So, um, yeah, cultivate those dreams. Even if they're new founded, to check into them, read books, do research, find out, ask questions. This thing that I'm newly in love with, why? Kind of ask those questions and then move forward and try to make those things that you're dreaming about come to fruition. Your current situation is the Magician, which is the perfect card for that. The Magician is asking you, in what way do you want to move forward? And, if you've already chosen this wand, you might find that your next step is the intellect, learning, speaking about it, talking to someone about it. It's maybe, the emotional commitment that you might make to something. This could be a person it could be a dream that you're in love with this person. It could be something that is monetary or material that you're working with. So, whatever this element is that involves this dream, choose your other element to work with it, right? When we start talking about the elements, the wands represent fire, right? So what amps up fire? Air. So if you want to amp this up, maybe communication or intellect. So like I said, learning about something, speaking to someone about it, that adds fuel to that fire. So something to think about. At the root of your situation is the Two of Pentacles. So looks like you're kind of juggling to keep things going, and maybe that's leading you to look for something. You're thinking, there must be an easier way. There must be a way for me to add some sort of passion into my life to make things go a little bit easier. And again, this could be, this could be a partner in your life. This could be a relationship that you're, cultivating to make your life easier. I mean, I assure you, life is easier when there's two of you working towards, common dreams than it is with one. That's one way to think of it. It could be that, maybe your work situation, you feel like you're just kind of juggling and doing the same thing every week, and you want to try to add some sort of passion into what it is that you're doing every single day to make that less of a juggle and more of something that you enjoy every day. So there's a lot of different ways to apply this message that is coming through. In your recent past here, Libra, is the Ace of Pentacles. So this might be some new financial idea that you've had come in. And like I said, we might be adding the material to this, or it might be, that you had a little extra money to start to explore this new passion. So, explore something that you're cultivating a little bit. And it could be something, it doesn't have to be something that's even new to your mind. It might have been something that just earlier in life you didn't have the time, the money, the resources to explore, and now you do. Now you're just in a better financial place, and you want to explore this thing. So of course, tarot is a template. This could template over so many different things. Again, it could be something, that's you're adding passion to your work, could be a relationship, it could be just a new hobby that you're taking up. So keep that in mind and kind of look around your life and see where that might apply. What is on your mind this week is the Three of Swords here. So this is kind of a broken heart, kind of a little bit of disappointment here, and that might also be leading you to it. Again, if you're kind of juggling things, or if you're dealing with some, this could be anything from a breakup to just a disappointment. I always like to point out that these are swords, and even though these are going through a heart, it can also kind of be like an intellectual, um, like like a heartbreak thing just in your mind, like a disappointment, not so much that, like, oh, there's just swords through my heart. It can be that, but the lighter kind of end of that is just that it's just something that disappoints you. It's something that you're like, oh, and I'm kind of thinking, like, that dread of, like, I have to get up and do this thing again today that you don't love doing. And that's hard to do. So if you can try to either find the silver lining in the thing that you're doing, or have a dream to move yourself, maybe your dream is to take a class or two, or go back to school so that you can learn something and again get back to doing something that you're more passionate about. What is just ahead of you this week? Wow, look at this. Ace of Wands, aces surrounding this magician. That's pretty amazing. So, here we are. We've got the Page of Wands and this new thing. And I was asking you, what element would you choose from this magician? Is it the Ace of Pentacles and the Ace of Wands? Are you going to use those two together? So now when you look at that, that is fire and earth energy, right? And so that's passion, but with a material drive, a material financial bent to it. So that's very interesting that those cards are surrounding the magician. What will you choose? And what area of your life do you need to, choose the material with that passion? Something might, and this could be like, maybe there's a craft or thing that you want to do that would, maybe you make quilts and you've decided that you can sell each quilt for X amount of dollars, and you're really good at it and you're fast at it, and you decide to do that. That's a passion that you take on, something that you love to do. And it's, so it combines that material with the passion thing, and should bring you more money in, right? It keeps you doing something that you love to do. All right, in your advice position is the Temperance card, which I love. This is about inspiration. This is that angel on your shoulder that's whispering to you, yeah, you can do this. That's that. This is the antithesis of the devil on the other shoulder with those false truths coming in. This is the angel that's on your shoulder saying, you can do this. Keep yourself calm. Look how I love this card so much. Just even the visual of what it represents. But this is things. This is fulfillment. That, dreams coming true, like your card said. Have faith in your dreams. This is a protector, someone watching over you and kind of guiding you into those synchronicities and those moments that you turn around and you think, wow, if that thing hadn't happened, I wouldn't be as successful as I am right now. This is keeping very, very centered. So that's your advice, is through all of this and through this decision making process of whatever it is that you're going through here, just try to remain very centered and keep your eye on the really big picture. What is beyond your control this week is the Four of Swords, which is about rest and meditation. And, in this case, maybe meditating on these things, really meditating on what are my dreams, and am I doing everything in my day-to-day life that will move me closer and closer to living in the way that I want to, which is really what we're all doing out here, right? Have you ever thought, what is my perfect day? I love doing this exercise occasionally. What is my perfect day and how close am I to living it? And what things can I get rid of that make it less perfect? And what can I add that makes it more perfect? We all have to do those evaluations occasionally. So might be a good time for you this week to just, relax, meditate a little, and think on those things. What is your secret desire, or what are you trying to avoid? Well, I doubt if you're trying to avoid the King of Pentacles. So if this is your secret desire, this is about having the knowledge that the King of Pentacles possesses, which to me means, you're in a place where you are successful, yes, but you understand, you have the real good understanding of the material world, of the financial world. You know how things work. You're working that out in your own life, but you can also look around and see, what other people are doing too, the people around you. Royalty are not just concerned about themselves, but how are things doing as a group? How are we doing? So, like if you're, let's say you're in management at a company, of course, your concern is not just about how you're doing individually, but how is the company doing? If this is you in a family situation, how are your kids doing? Is everybody, can you gently advise them in a certain way that brings them more towards, this kind of energy of just really having the knowledge about how the world works and how All right. So final card here for you is the Ten of Swords. So, you're wrapping up with kind of leaving something behind. This is an ending here, but you're definitely at some new beginning point here with this new passion. But, it's almost like everything new that comes into it, it does make us have to leave something else behind, even if it's just a way of being, or in this case, it could just be a way of thinking. And, maybe it's leaving behind some negative thinking so that you will have faith in your dreams. Maybe there's something that has sparked, this new optimism in you. And, Libras can be a little bit indecisive. Maybe there's something that's really just focused your ability to make a decision and really, really follow through with it. But there's something that you're going to leave behind, and that's okay. I don't see that as a negative thing, because I almost see that again as negative thinking. And we all want to leave that behind, right? So, all right, let's get us a final message here from the Soul Oracle deck. A final message here for Libra. Whoops. One flip over. No. All right. Final message February 1st through the 7th for Libra. All right. And the card that comes up for you is to choose friends wisely. And that can be an important thing also when it comes to your way of thinking. Do you have friends in your life that help you think in a positive way, or are they kind of negative? And that can have a big effect on you, just choosing the people around us. And, if you have a friend that's a big negative Nancy, it can be something that you might need to think, I'm going to spend less time with that person and more time with these people over here that are a little bit more positive. So that is something to think about, is to choose your friends wisely and be around people that support you and the things that you're dreaming about. You want people that will dream with you, right? And kind of support you and help you move forward. So, all right, what does Libra need to do in the way of self-care this week? Self-care for Libra this week. And the card that you get says risk and has 2 die on it here. Take a chance. Every risk is a success when you're in command, or I'm sorry, when you're committed to learning and growth. I don't know why I said when you're in command. Take a chance. Every risk is a success when you're committed to learning and growth. So that's a great card also. It's like I said, when you combine those forces, right? So when you combine a passion with the sword, that's the intellectual, that's learning something. This is maybe telling you that, the sword, this disappointment here, you need to learn a little bit more about it. It could be that you tried a thing and maybe you did have a failure. And failures aren't a bad thing. That's what pushes you forward and makes you learn. So maybe you learn again, you learn a little bit more and you go try again. So I really like this reading, Libra. I think it's positive. I think it just makes you, have to think about things. Again, rest and meditate on this idea that you're having, this passion that you're nurturing and cultivating, and move forward with it and decide what it is that you do need to let go of so that you can, move yourself into that King of Pentacles energy. So, Libra, thank you so much for being here this week. I hope there's something, again, that you can take away and use. And if you're comfortable sharing, you drop me a comment down below. Is there something that you tried and failed that you're going to just pick up and dust yourself off and try again and try to be a success at this time? And if so, make those adjustments and do that. And I'm rooting for you. This angel here is rooting for you, and find your friends that are rooting for you as well. Also, Libra, if you hit that like and subscribe button, I really appreciate that. It helps my channel so much. And most importantly, it'll help you find me next week. So thanks so much for being here, Libra, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.